remember I was walking down King Street in Newtown one day, and I looked up and just saw this big road sign up above King Street and realised that it was just a big sheet of aluminium sitting up above the street, and decided that it might be a good thing to make use of. I suppose I technically stole the first one. It was laying on the side of the street. I was very opportunistic and grabbed it, and it became what I used for the first prototype. Most materials are processed so heavily before in being used that it's no longer possible to reuse them. But road signs are still very much in the format that they originally were. They're just a big sheet of aluminium that's hung on the side of the street. It was really nothing to do with the colour or the lettering or the typeface or that graphic element. It was just because it was a material that could be really easily reused. I mainly collect road signs from around Sydney because that's where my studio has been for so long. Mostly they're from scrap metal yards, sometimes from council depots, and most of it just gets sold on to be melted down, it gets sold to scrap. So if I can sort of interrupt that life cycle a little bit and give it another use, then that's a good thing. In the last collection I did, we filled a high-ace van, 2/3, the back of it, a big van. So, the car barely moved at the end of it. So we would have ended up with hundreds of signs. And I then take to my computer and sit down and create files that show the size, the reflective nature, the colour, and the grain direction of each sign. And then they just get cut, and there's no planning as to where the cutting happens. I don't sort of go and look at the sign and figure out where it would be nicest to lay it out. I just I like that kind of haphazard nature of what happens there. I'm more interested in the beauty of an idea than I am in the physical beauty of an object, or perhaps the beauty of its function. The thing that people were responding to in this idea was the fact that it was this text cut up images that were reassembled in a way that was different to the way that they were usually seen. So I'd take maybe bits and pieces of 3 or 4 different signs and bits of cut up text that was no longer legible and put it all together in this one object, and people were sort of interested in that. This is a public material that we don't have any ownership over. We use these things every day, but we can't take them home. They're in the public domain. We probably could if we really wanted to. They're accessible to us, but they're owned by the public. For lots of people, it's a nice thing to take home an object that is made from a material that's not usually accessible to them.